Jenkins, a big weekend of racing here on ESPN at Dover Downs. 200 miles of competition this afternoon in Grand National competition and 500 miles tomorrow for the Winston Cup Stars. With me is Ned Jarrett, and today's race actually is 3-in-1. We have drivers from the Winston Cup Series. We have the regular Busch drivers and those from the Busch Grand National North Series.
And there are tight point battles in both the North Series and the regular Grand National Series, so those drivers will be battling with each other to try to gain points, and of course they want to win if they possibly can too. And then both divisions will be battling the Winston Cup Stars, who are here strictly for the win.
Well, guy going for 3 consecutive wins has also won the pole for today's race. That's Harry Gant. And for more on that, let's go to our colleague in the pit area, Larry Newber.
If there is a heartwarming story in this division, it is this one. Some critics had written off this 48-year-old driver who has not had the best of luck over the past 2 or 3 seasons. But Harry Gant has quieted the critics with his recent performances in Busch Grand National Racing. Now, what about the points battle? Well, that's relegated all the way back here to row number 8, where I am standing. First, Tommy Ellis. He's led the standings for most of the season, but he has not won since July. On the other hand is Larry Pearson, way behind a couple of months ago, but in his last 3 starts, he's had a first and a second. And although he's 130 points behind, he's coming on strong. Well, Tommy Ellis leading the points and Larry Pearson in third, that leaves a missing link. Here's Jerry Punch.
Well, Larry, it may be the missing link, but it's more likely the broken link. Mike Alexander currently second in the Busch Grand National points, only 77 points behind leader Tommy Ellis. But it's been a tough week for Alexander, and here's why. Let's take a look at the measurement. The rear spoiler on Alexander's Buick being shown approximately 42 inches from the ground. Now, a week ago, NASCAR made a rule, a new rule, we should say, that the spoiler can be no more than 37 inches high. So what happened? Well, Alexander has been running this car all year. He brought the car here, and yesterday in qualifying, NASCAR said, well, hey, your spoiler's too high. You must take it off to qualify because your trunk lid is 37 inches high. That's as high as you can be in the rear of the car. He took the spoiler off, went out to qualify. The car was slipping and sliding and so unstable, he could only run about 130 miles an hour, certainly not quick enough to get in the field. He came back today, and NASCAR said, okay, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll let you put the spoiler on the car, but you must run an 1.125" restrictor plate. Now, everyone else can run without one, but you must run one to penalize you a little bit. Well, he went out to qualify and only ran about 89 miles an hour, but he had some problems. So he will start back far in the field, 31st starting spot. And Mike Alexander said, hey, I'm going to win by sheer determination. We're going to put this car up front. I don't care how much we have to overcome the spoiler and the restrictor plate. We're going to win it. Gentlemen?
Well, everyone believes that qualifying effort by Mike Alexander is no indication of how that car is going to run in today's Grand National 200. The starting lineup is next. The 38 starters that will be competing here this afternoon. We'll have that for you right after this. Between 9 and 24 degrees. The pole speed by Harry Gant was 143.896, and they will be able to get about 100 laps out of a fuel. And now let's take a look at the 38 starters that will be competing here this afternoon. As we have indicated to you, from Taylorsville, North Carolina, Harry Gant is on the pole position, qualifying at 143.896, a new track record. And outside of that front row will be Brad Teague in car number 75, the Food Country USA Olds. In row number 2, it'll be Ed Barrier in car number 90 and Rob Moroso in car number 25. The third row has Michael Waltrip in car 17 and Mark Martin in 06. Row number 4, Bobby Hillen Jr., who won this race in the spring in car number 81, and Davey Allison in car number 28. Then in row number 5, it is Ken Schrader and Chuck Bound driving car number 1. And as you take a look at the rest of the starting lineup, you will notice that some of the regular competitors and those that we had anticipated qualifying much higher on the grid are back in the middle and even the back of the pack, including Tommy Houston and Jack Ingram and Morgan Shepherd.
Jack Ingram is not having a very good year this year on the Busch Grand National Circuit, Bob. He has yet to win, and he has won more races than anyone else in this division over the years, but 1988 has not been a good season for him. Morgan Shepherd way back in the field, but you can look for him to come up through the pack. He qualified in the second round qualifying.
There were 30 that actually made the field as far as qualifying is concerned, and then 4 provisionals from the regular Grand National Series and 4 from the Busch Grand National North Division. Let's go to Jerry Punch on pit road.
Well, gentlemen, if ever a track owes a driver, this track here at Dover owes this driver, Brad Teague. Now, back in the spring here on ESPN, Brad seemed to be on his way to victory. With a few laps to go, the yellow flag came out, exactly 5 laps from the end. Now, Brad slowed down because of a crash in turn 4. And he slowed down just enough to let Bobby Hillin slide by him as they came for the stripe and took the yellow flag. The race finished under caution, and Brad, of course, ran out of fuel in the last lap, so Brad had problems there. He didn't win, and this track owes him a victory. He's on the outside front row today, and Brad Teague, 40 years of age, in the same Oldsmobile, would like to get even today here at Dover. Let's go to Larry Newber. Larry?
Oh, Jerry, will go by very quickly here at Dover. A 1-mile racetrack, 200 laps, less than half-minute laps. These V6 engines will go more than half the distance on fuel, so only one stop for fuel as the engines fire behind me. But watch for the teams with the resources to stop as many as 3 times per tires. How that will sync up with the gas stops? Well, only time, and Bob and Ned will let you know.
And so, as Larry indicated, the command has been given to start engines, and the 38 cars now fire up and will be going onto the track for some warm-up laps prior to the start of the day's 200. International Speedway, where the cars are on their final warm-up lap before taking the green flag. On the front row will be Harry Gant, car number 7, and Brad Teague alongside as the pace car leads them down the backstretch for the final time. On the inside is the number 90 car driven by Ed Barrier. To his outside in row number 2 will be Rob Moroso. There you can see Mike Waltrip in car number 17, the car that has been driven by his brother Darrell Waltrip regularly in the Grand National competition. Here they come off of corner number 4 as the crowd here in front of us begins to rise and cheer on the start of this race. Pace car ducks to the infield, and here now is Harry Gant leading them down the straightaway in hopes of a green flag. 200 laps of racing coming up. There's the green, and the Grand National 200 is underway.
Harry Gant doesn't get much of a jump, if any at all, as they go into turn 1 and head off of turn 2. He's just barely keeping pace with Brad Teague, who would like to take the lead as they go into turn 3.
Let's see how things shake out as they head for that third turn. They're still side by side. Now Brad Teague pulls ahead by about a half a car length, but here comes Harry Gant battling back on the inside. Still hooked right together. Look at this side-by-side racing. Teague is to the outside in car number 75, and Harry Gant to the inside in number 7. Now Teague takes the advantage. Here comes on the outside of the racetrack Ed Barrier in car number 90, challenging Harry Gant for the second spot. As lap number 2 is completed, Barrier inches ahead of Gant as they head for turn number 1, and Ed Barrier has moved to second, Gant back to third. That's Rob Moroso driving in 4th position, and in 5th spot as they head down the backstretch is Michael Waltrip.
A little surprising that Harry Gant was not able to take the lead from the inside starting spot. Most of the time that is the preferred position, Bob, but the outside groove certainly worked good for those 2 drivers up front now.
Gant has dropped all the way back to 3rd position here as Ed Barrier is showing some muscle in the early going. There's Gant going through corner number 1 again, right ahead of Rob Moroso. Back in the pack, meanwhile, we have some great competition going on as some of the competitors are trying to move up. There you see Davey Allison battling alongside of and there's the number 97 car of Morgan Shepherd. Now, he was one of those that had to start way back in the field, but as we indicated when the green flag dropped, he would be moving up quickly, and indeed he is.
And here's Mike Alexander in the car number 84, right behind the black car number 97 of Morgan Shepherd. He's moving up through the field, too. He had a bad qualifying run. Something happened mechanically when he was making his qualifying run today, but evidently they got that problem squared away.
And the story on the number 97 car is, as we take a look once again at the battle up front between Brad Teague in the league and Ed Barrier in 2nd position. Morgan Shepherd originally time trialed but was disqualified when he spun in his warm-up lap and then came in. They removed some tape from the front of the car, and NASCAR said that that constituted working on the car, and so he had to be a second-day qualifier. There are the first 5 as they run nose to tail on the Monster Mile. Brad Teague is your leader, Ed Barrier running 2nd, Harry Gant 3rd, then Rob Moroso and Michael Waltrip as those 5 separates themselves just a little bit from the rest of the field. Back to Morgan Shepherd. Meanwhile, he is really moving up through the traffic. There he is right behind the number 34 car driven by Jimmy Spencer. He's using the inside, the outside, all over the racetrack in an attempt to get back up toward the front. Morgan Shepherd, car number 97, heads to the outside now of Spencer as they head into turn number 3, and that is Tommy Houston in the white number 6 ahead, and also Jack Ingleman, car number 11.
And of course you see Mike Alexander in the red and blue number 84 following Shepherd up through the field. But they've run into a tough group of competitors there right now. They passed about 10 or 12 cars on those first few laps. But now that they've run into this group of cars, they're much harder to pass.
There you see Shepherd to the inside of Tommy Houston. And that is the number 84 car of Mike Alexander behind Tommy Houston on the high side of the racetrack. The number 42 car there is driven by Elton Sawyer. And now Morgan Shepherd is right alongside him, passing him. Here comes Jimmy Spencer right behind as Shepherd really is making a move here in the first few laps.
Passing Bobby Labonte now in one of the Winter Circle Auto Parts cars. Of course, that's the sponsor that Morgan Shepherd has on the side of his car. And we see Mike Alexander coming on the inside following Jimmy Spencer. Jimmy Spencer qualified a modified car in Pocono, Pennsylvania this morning. Randy LaJoy qualified this car for him. And he made the trip from there to here. He's racing in Pocono tomorrow in a special modified race.
Now, Morgan Shepherd is a former winner of this race. He took the checkered flag in September of 1986. There is Mike Alexander, car number 84, running right behind the number 34 car of Jimmy Spencer. Back to the front of the pack, meanwhile, as the lead continues to be held by Brad Teague, but look how close it is. The first 5 hooked right together in a train as they come off of corner number 4. Running back in 6th, but a little bit behind Michael Waltrip is Davey Allison and also Bobby Hillen Jr., the winner of the spring race here at Dover.
Davey had a problem in the last practice session. He burned a wheel bearing on the right rear of that car, but they did get it fixed, so he hasn't shown any signs of that problem reoccurring here in the race.
Now Harry Gant moving to the outside and looking for a chance to pass Ed Barrier as they come off the 4th corner, but he falls back in line as there's single file once again through the 1st and 2nd corners. Brad Teague in 75, Ed Barrier in 90, Harry Gant is in 7, Rob Moroso in the red 25, and then Michael Waltrip in the black car number 17. 12 laps completed out of 200. We'll be back with more right after this. We're back at Dover, where the second caution period of the afternoon is just about to end. The cars are lined up behind the pace car coming down the backstretch. And the car that is being shown in the lead is the number 75 car of Brad Teague.
He did not pit during this caution, I don't believe, Bob. And Harry Gant, of course, who is in 2nd place, did make a pit stop. A couple of cars that dropped out of the race. Kenny Burks in car 02 and Elton Sawyer in car number 42.
Right behind Brad Teague, the leader, is Harry Gant, then Michael Waltrip, Rob Moroso, Ed Barrier, Bobby Hillen Jr., and Mike Alexander, whose car is running to perfection despite the fact that he has been forced by NASCAR to run a restrictor plate at this event. The green flag comes back out, and we are back to racing as the field moves through the 1st and 2nd corners once again. And Brad Teague now sets off to try to put as much distance between himself and Harry Gant, knowing that the race is only 3 laps away from the halfway point. And as Larry indicated, he has felt some sprinkles of rain down there. So if the rain should occur here in the next few laps, and it appears to be an all-day rain situation, they could call the race off just past the halfway point. And so everybody is trying to get up front just as quickly as possible, including Michael Waltrip in car number 17, who once again is looking really, really good in this Grand National competition. He's side by side with Harry Gant for 2nd. Waltrip to the bottom of the racetrack, and he has 2nd for the moment.
And Rob Moroso now trying to move around Harry Gant. We wonder if that tire change of Harry Gant is working as well for him right now. It looks like his car is pushing a little bit as he goes into the turn. That means that the back end is holding a little bit too tight. Now, normally after they run about 8 or 10 laps, that will work to his advantage. But right now it's working to his disadvantage, although Rob Moroso was not able to make the pass on that lap. But Gant gives him a little bit of room on the inside once again.
Harry maintaining that 3rd position, but Rob Moroso is right behind him, and Ed Barrier is right behind Rob Moroso as things get sorted out here after coming off our 2nd caution of the day. Brad Teague has really taken off and is lengthening his advantage. Michael Waltrip second, and then this battle for third involving Gant and Rob Moroso.
Now, Brad Teague hit it about the 50-mile mark. They're getting the halfway mark as they come around now. Regardless of what happens as far as the weather is concerned, this will be an official race. But Teague will have to stop again at about 150 miles. His crew has said that he can go 99 miles on a tank of fuel, so that would mean stopping on the 149 lap mark.
There you can see we've reached exactly the halfway point. Gant hanging on to third. Rob Moroso in car number 25. He had an opportunity to come in and have that car checked over, and it is running as well now as it did before the pit stop. Now he looks to the inside once again of Harry Gant coming down the backstretch. Moroso will try to pull alongside here before turn 3. Nope, has to fall in single file line.
But look how Gant's car goes high. He likes to drive up there, but he's not necessarily putting that car up there. It's because the car is pushing as he goes into the turn. And Moroso is working good down on the inside, but not well enough to move around Gant.
Meanwhile, here comes Ed Barrier, who's about to challenge Rob Moroso for 4th place. Moroso coming back, though, again going to the inside out of turn number 2 down the backstretch. Moroso can't do it.
He doesn't have an advantage, or not too much of one. As I say that, though, he pulls back on the inside of Harry Gant and makes the pass this time. I started to say his biggest advantage is coming off of turn 2, but he made it work coming off of turn 4 that time. Rob
Moroso, very impressive. Here comes Ed Barrier side by side with Harry Gant. And Barrier looking to move into 4th place now. And obviously does have what is probably a bad set of tires, because that car is just not performing the way it did before he made the pit stop.
No, it's not. And when we say a bad set of tires, we're talking about a mismatched set of tires. They only were able to change 2 tires, and they changed the right side tires, and they don't match up with the left side tires, causing the car to not turn in the center of the corner, causing it to go very high, as we see him right there, and Ed Barrier sticking down on the inside. And as they come off turn 2, Barrier's going to be able to move right up the side of him.
I might have seen also some tire smoke coming from Harry Gant's
car. Number 25 just slowed down as he went into turn 3 over there. He had moved up into the 3rd position. Rob Moroso having a problem in the car number 25.
So Moroso's car is sick on the inside of the racetrack coming out of turn number 4. He makes it to the pit road, and a tough break for Rob Moroso, who had done such a great job in moving that car all the way to 3rd position. But now he is in the pits, and it appears as if he may be, I was going to say he may be going behind the wall, but no, he stops in his assigned pit area. But the crew raises the hood on it to try to ascertain what is wrong. And right behind him in the pit area is Mark Martin, who has also come in. Now we have some great competition here between Morgan Shepherd in car number 97 and the 81 car of Bobby Hillin Jr.
They're battling for the 5th position. Shepherd takes the position as they come off of turn 2 and heads down the backstretch.
And Bobby Hillin Jr. got way high there coming off the 2nd corner. And Morgan Shepherd ducked inside, but now here comes Hillin back once again in car number 81. He, of course, won a rather controversial and interesting race here in the spring at Dover, as the yellow flag came out because of the Larry Pollard crash, and the cars raced back to the caution. Brad Teague lifted from the accelerator. Bobby Hillin Jr. beat him across the line. The race finished under yellow. Hillin had his first Grand National win.
Well, Brad Teague continues to lead this race, but his lead is beginning to evaporate a little bit, Bob. He had picked up about a 2-second lead, but now it's down to just over 1 second as Michael Waltrip is closing in on him as he sees those dark clouds begin to move in.
And the number 84 car of Mike Alexander has been black flagged by NASCAR. His car now moves through turn number 3. There it is, Mike Alexander, really the story of the weekend here in Grand National competition, with the rear spoiler and the restrictor plate, and the fact that he's 2nd in points has been black flagged. He hasn't heeded the black flag as yet, but that's the 2nd time that it's been displayed to him.
He would have 3 laps to heed the black flag before they pull the scorecard.
Now he's apparently heeding it because he's off the accelerator, dropping to the inside of the racetrack. And here comes Mike Alexander in for the pit stop.
A tough break for the young driver from Franklin, Tennessee.
Ned, it's very obvious when you look at that car that the rear end is quite higher than the rest of the Grand National cars. Larry Newber is there in the Mike Alexander pit.
Bob, I rushed up to a couple of crewmen as Mike was coming in. I said, why the black flag? He said, well, we don't know. Somebody said we were smoking out the back. Mike said it might have been a tire. They have changed the left side tires on this car in 13.2 seconds. And they're hoping that's what their problem was. But the crew has not been informed completely by NASCAR as of this second exactly why the reason for the black flag.
Well, Larry, he did go one lap down during that caution period, so I mean during that unscheduled pit stop, so he's got a lot of ground to make up now to get back into the thick of this battle as far as a win for this race.
And some great news for Mike Alexander as far as Winston Cup racing is concerned. He's been signed as a full-time driver for the Stavola brothers in 1989. And even if Bobby Allison comes back, there will be 3 cars in that stable for 1989. Brad Teague leads, but the question is, will this race be completed? There is indeed black cloud.
Hey, come on, can't you do that later? Hey, I've always dreamt of owning a car like this, and I'm keeping it forever.
To some, it's an antique. To others, it's a dear old friend. If you truly love your car and want to make the romance last forever, protect it with Pure Later filters.
ESPN Saturday Stampede. Unstoppable power unleashed every week. A thundering herd of the country's best college football teams colliding throughout the day live. Powerful Sammy Smith leads Florida State against Michigan State. Then Steve Taylor and the Nebraska Cornhuskers meet Arizona State. A sensational doubleheader live Saturday on ESPN.
Back at the Grand National 200 at Dover Downs International Speedway, the lead is held by the number 75 car, driven by Brad Teague. He's working some of the slower traffic, having just put another lap on the 65 car of Tim Nooner, one of the competitors from the All-American Challenge Series. That's the 39 car of Steve Grissom. And now we go back to check on the number 97 and the 7 car. This is 3rd and 4th, Morgan Shepherd and Harry Gant. Second place held by Michael Waltrip.
And of course, Morgan Shepherd is running 3rd, Harry Gant 4th. Bobby Hillen now has moved into the 5th position. In 6th is Ed Barrier. 7th, Davey Allison. 8th is L.D. Ottinger. 9th, Jimmy Spencer. In 10th place, Ron Cooper. 11th is Rick Mast. Jack Ingram runs 12th. Larry Pearson has dropped back to 13th. Larry's car just not working very well here today.
And you know, when Morgan Shepherd passed Harry Gant a few laps ago, we indicated that we thought Morgan was going to pull away from Harry. That hasn't been necessarily the case. Gant is still very, very competitive. Let's go down to Larry Nuber, who's in Morgan Shepherd's pit.
Well, Bob, normally in circumstances like this, everyone is trying to protect their tires, because I just talked with Charlie Presley, Morgan's crew chief, and they can go the distance on the fuel. But now I can see rain falling down. It's ever so slightly, certainly not enough to stop this race right now. But there are no conservative measures that you can afford to apply to your tires, because this race might end. The big question down here is 3 different teams running the top 5 have come up to me in the last 5 minutes and said, what about this 17? They couldn't believe that Michael Waltrip was running so close to the front and that he had stopped the last time with the caution flag. Everyone seems to be concerned about Michael.
And there is Michael Waltrip, who has closed in now on Brad Teague, and Michael Waltrip may be making a run for the lead here. Look at him close in on Brad Teague.
Well, he has really moved in the last 5 or 6 laps. He's just run up on Brad. Brad's got a pit stop coming up in about a dozen laps, but it looks like he might get past before he comes into the pit.
Looks as if also the number 90 car and the 17 car of Michael Waltrip may also need another pit stop before the end of this race. That is a question that remains to be seen. Looks like that Harry Gant, who's back in 4th spot, will be able to go the distance. But Brad Teague is going to make a pit stop. We're going to need one later, and so is Michael Waltrip.
Well, there's no question but what Brad Teague will have to make one more pit stop, because he stopped at the 50 lap mark, so he will have to come in. We're at 139. They're completing the 140 laps when they come around this time. So in about 10 or 12 more laps, he will have to come in. Michael Waltrip, of course, will be able to run quite a bit longer because he did stop on the 2nd caution period.
5th and 6th right here. That's the number 81 car of Bobby Hillen Jr. and Tommy Ellis in car number 99. The Grand National points leader, Tommy Ellis.
Tommy having a good run here today. His super speedway performance this year has not been as good as he would have liked. He has won 3 short track Busch Grand National races and has had some good runs, but not like Tommy Ellis likes to run. He likes to run up front because he's a super race driver.
And here is Michael Waltrip once again looking to the inside of the leader, Brad Teague, in corner number 4. Let's see what Michael is able to do here on the straightaway. Into turn number 1 again. They make slower traffic ahead of him. That could play a big part in what happens. Brad Teague still to the outside and Michael Waltrip to the inside. The fans here in front of us are on their feet cheering for their particular favorite driver. But I'll tell you, Michael Waltrip, for the second race that we have televised in Grand National competition, is very, very impressive.
He has done a great job in that car. Darrell Waltrip that he would put him in the car for the races on Saturday before the Winston Cup races. Now, as Larry Newber mentioned that some of the crews had concern about Michael Waltrip having made a pit stop and back up there in second place. Now, he came out after the last pit stop. He was behind Harry Gant, but quickly passed him. They made good pit stops and got back out of the pit very quickly and came up through the pack and now trying to take the lead.
Here we go. Let's see. Michael Waltrip is side by side with Brad Teague. That is Ken Schrader in car number 52 that may play a factor in all of this. Let's see how things go down the backstretch. Can Brad Teague position himself to the inside, or is Michael going to trap him in the higher groove? Oh, good racing. Michael comes along, moving side by side with Teague out of corner number 4. No, Brad is continuing to hang on, but let's see if Michael can get it. Now into turn 1. No, I thought he was going to, but he couldn't.
And the car 52 could play a role once they catch him. Kenny Schrader can't keep his car number 52 down on the inside, so that's where Brad Teague needs to go, but Michael Waltrip still hasn't been able to move completely around him.
Now Waltrip is able to get about a half a car length on Brad Teague in the lower groove. It's 3 abreast racing down the front stretch. The number 9 car of Joe Bessie, one of the Grand National North drivers, way down to the inside. Brad Teague is doing a magnificent job of holding off the challenge of Michael Waltrip.
He certainly is. His car is working well in that center groove as Gant's car was working earlier, and he has the momentum as he comes off of the turn. Now he might be able to get around Kenny Schrader without having to deal with Michael Waltrip. As Schrader goes high, Brad will be able to go on the inside, and that's what he needed to do.
Jerry Punch told us in the very early stages of this race that Brad Teague wants this win because of what happened in the spring here when he lost to Bobby Hillen Jr. Now, there is Hillen, meanwhile, who is battling with the number 99 car of Tommy Ellis. Ellis is back into 5th position, and Bobby Hillen Jr. back to 6th.
Bob, I think when I gave that rundown a little bit ago that I inadvertently left out Tommy Ellis, and certainly he was up there. He was running in the 6th position, so he's a force right now. And is Brad Teague slowing down?
Yes, he is, indeed. Brad Teague is slowing on the racetrack. The car dropping to the apron of the racetrack, coming down the backstretch.
Out of fuel.
That is going to put Michael Waltrip into the lead. So Brad Teague, who made an early pit stop, apparently has pushed it too far. He may be out of fuel. He's coasting into the pits, and Michael Waltrip has taken over the lead of the Grand National 200.
Well, we thought that Brad Teague would have to come in on lap 149. It's lap 148, and apparently the car did run out of fuel completely, so they had it computed pretty close. They just missed it by a mile.
And boy, what a costly miscalculation it was. Jerry Punch reports from pit road.
Can you believe the bad luck that Brad Teague has? Last year he ran out, back in the spring he ran out with 2 laps to go. He ran out of fuel, and it happens again today. Again, Brad Teague runs out of fuel. They come in, put left side tires on the car, 1 can of fuel in, and they're going to try to push the car to get it started, to try to get some fuel up to the front of the motor. What a break for Brad Teague. Now the car fires, and he's down and away.
And Jerry, he's about a lap and a half behind, or maybe a little bit more than that. So he's out of it as far as contention to win, unless he can get a caution and then pull up beside of the leader and get back in the lead lap and get another caution.
So Brad Teague catches up. Meanwhile, here is Kyle Petty in the number 30 car as he pulls into the pits. You know, the V6 engine has taken over Busch Grand National Racing. With more on that, here is a quick fact. Quick facts are brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
Have you driven a Ford lately? Chances are you haven't driven one of these. This is the prototype Ford V6. And this baby is as rare as lips on a pelican. Now, this engine made its first competitive debut in Daytona back in February. It's been running on a limited basis on the Busch Grand National Tour. It is yet to win. In fact, it hasn't cracked the top 5. Now, General Motors V6s have been around for a lot of years. In fact, Jack Ingram won the first V6 victory in Busch competition back in September of 1985. Just as the Busch Grand National ranks have been used as a proving ground for young drivers to develop their skills and make their way in the Winston Cup, likewise with technology. The Busch Grand National division, a proving ground for the Ford V6. It won't get to make its move into the big boys until it reaches its peak here in Busch competition.
Well, although it's very successful in Grand National competition, and there was rumor of the V6 going to Winston Cup racing in 1989, that apparently will not be the situation. The lead of the Grand National 200 here at Dover is held by Michael Waltrip. Morgan Shepherd is second. Back in just a moment. 200 with 173 of the 200 laps completed. The top 5, Tommy Ellis, Jimmy Spencer, Ronald Cooper, Larry Pearson, and Michael Waltrip. Now, the top 3 you can see there with the asterisk for the far right indicates that they did not make a pit stop. So Larry Pearson did make a stop and fell into 4th. Michael Waltrip into 5th position. And speaking of Michael Waltrip, his big brother is with Jerry Punch, and now here is Jerry.
Well, Darrell Waltrip standing on top of a truck here in the garage area, and DW, little brother's doing a heck of a job out there.
Well, I think he's going to win this race. Today is Jessica's birthday, September the 17th. He's driving car 17, and on a scale of 1 to 10, I give him a 17. So things are going pretty good.
He told me you promised him he might get to drive this car at Charlotte if he does okay today and doesn't scratch it up.
Every time he brings it back and it's ready to run again, he can keep on running it. He's doing a great job. I'm proud of him.
A couple weeks ago, you were pretty nervous. You don't seem too nervous today. You seem to be a little bit relaxed.
I'm as nervous as I've ever been in my life.
A nervous car owner here, Darrell Waltrip, watching little brother try to win it here at Dover, Delaware. Gentlemen?
Well, I'm not sure that he's the most nervous he's ever been in his life, but he indeed is justified in being very proud of his brother Michael, who is in 5th as we get set to go back to green here in just a moment. We are cautioned because of Ed Barrier's crash out in turn number 2. Ed walked to the ambulance, appears to be okay, and now we're 176 laps complete. When they come by, it'll be the completion of lap 177, and so we'll have just a very few laps remaining.
Well, we have a report. We're seeing Larry Pearson shown that they're in 4th position, but he's a lap down according to NASCAR, so he is moving down to the inside of Tommy Ellis, so that does indicate that he is a lap down.
All right, Ned, now we showed you the guys that did not pit and those that did pit. Did the guys that pit get new tires, and will they therefore be faster than the ones that didn't?
I think so, Larry. Michael Waltrip did take on left side tires, and that should help him as they go into the turns. Although Tommy Ellis was running very good before this caution came out, but with the new tires on the inside, I think that Michael Waltrip has the advantage.
23 laps to go in this one. Here they come down the backstretch. Tommy Ellison, car number 99, is first. And the number 34 car of Jimmy Spencer is in 2nd spot. The 21 of Larry Pearson is a lapped car. Tommy Ellis is leading the Delaware Grand National 200. Ronald Cooper in 56 and Michael Waltrip side by side in a crash. Patty Moise and Steve Grissom have crashed.
Steve Grissom's car has really crashed into something very hard.
Heavy front-end damage on that number 39 machine driven by Steve Grissom. One of those drivers who has come from the all-pro circuit in Alabama. And there you can see that Steve has gotten that car to the inside of the track. He apparently is okay, but the front end of that car is missing.
Yes, it really is. Tore all the sheet metal away. Hopefully it's mostly sheet metal damage. That's what it appears, but it really looks bad.
Patty Moise also involved in this crash, our 2nd of the day. And as we see Steve Grissom at the bottom of turn number 4, Harry Gant is coming in for another pit stop. And let's take a look at the crash and see if we can determine what happened.
Well, we can see that Grissom had already gone into the wall and Patty Moise was spinning down the inside. We had word that Patty Moise might have lost it going into turn 3. And she was the car in front. She had spun up into the wall, and apparently Grissom hit her and hit the wall as well.
And a lot of debris up there in the 3rd and 4th turns because of the sheet metal flying from the Steve Grissom car. So this will be probably quite a lengthy yellow, and with only 21 laps to go, we may be set up here for about a 15 or so lap dash to the finish. Again, we'll take a look at a replay of it from another angle.
You can see Patty Moise's car had spun around, and Grissom came in and hit her as she was turned towards the traffic, and then of course it slammed him into the wall. But most of the damage, it appeared, is when he hit her.
Yeah, I thought maybe that damage on the front end of Grissom's car was caused when he hit the wall, but indeed it was because he had hit Patty. So Grissom's car is being pushed to the pit area now, and Steve is for all practical purpose out of competition. So we're going to take another break here as the fourth caution of the afternoon falls over downs. Back out, and it will come back on lap number 185. We've got 15 more laps to go in this one. The lead continues to be held by Tommy Ellis, but right behind him is Michael Waltrip, then Ronald Cooper and Morgan Shepherd. The green comes out. Here we go, Ned.
Now, when the caution came out, Jimmy Spencer was running in second position, but he made a pit stop, so that moved Michael Waltrip into second.
And let's see if Michael can catch Tommy Ellis. That's Larry Pearson in car number 21 to the inside of the track, but he is a lap down and not in the lead serial. Off of corner number 4, Ellis continuing to hang on to the lead. There is Brad Teague in car number 75, who is moving through traffic.
But he's at least one lap down because of that green flag pit stop. Now, Ron Cooper has really moved back in the field. Morgan Shepherd has moved by him into the third position. That's Morgan in the black car right behind Brad Teague.
Brad Teague, car certainly is running well, although he is at least one lap down to the field. Now, Michael Ellis. Let's see what happens. There is Morgan Shepherd in car number 97. He is fourth in line, but he is third in the race when you don't consider Brad Teague in 75, who is a lap down. He's one lap down to the field, we understand. Now Michael Waltrip begins to close in on Tommy Ellis and make a real battle for the lead. Michael Waltrip dropping to the inside of Tommy Ellis coming out of corner number 4. This may be where Michael takes over the lead. Let's see as they go into corner number 1. Michael Waltrip to the inside, Tommy Ellis to the outside. Ellis gives him plenty of room, and Michael Waltrip goes back into the lead.
And I think there's an indication of those new left side tires that he has. It's stuck down on the inside, no problem at all. What he just drove on the inside is Rick Mast apparently has blown an engine in his car number 22.
A lot of smoke coming from that number 22, but he gets it to the inside of the racetrack. Meanwhile, we go back up front and see what's going on with Michael Waltrip, Tommy Ellis, and the others. Tommy Ellis still in second position as Waltrip now puts about 4 or 5 car lengths between himself and Tommy Ellis. Morgan Shepherd is back there in that third position, fourth in line.
Rick Mast was running in the 5th position. He was one of 11 cars on the lead lap before the engine let go in his car.
10 laps to go when they cross the stripe this time. Michael Waltrip is looking for his first win ever in Grand National competition. His best finish in his career in this division has been a third at Darlington, and that occurred just a few weeks ago. Look at Morgan Shepherd as he is raising his fist at Brad Teague, apparently claiming that Brad is holding him up.
Yeah, he put the bumper to him going into turn 3, and that might have cost him a little bit of time there.
So Morgan Shepherd obviously wants Brad to get out of the way so that Morgan can challenge Tommy Ellis and Michael Waltrip, and we still see that smoke coming from the exhaust pipe of the Morgan Shepherd car.
Apparently he has a cracked ring on a piston on that car, and when he decelerates, a little oil will get on top of the piston. Then when he accelerates, it'll burn it off, and that causes that smoke.
Here's L.D. Ottinger in car number 2, Harry Gant in number 7, and that's the number 34 car of Jimmy Spencer and the Davey Allison car as they battle for position. Here's Harry Gant moving inside of L.D.
Well, Gant made a pit stop during this last caution period. So did Jimmy Spencer in car number 34 and trying to make their way back up through the field.
Battle for 6th position going on here. Gant, Ottinger, and Jimmy Spencer.
Running in the 4th position behind Morgan Shepherd is Ron Cooper, and in 5th place is the car number 81 of Bobby Hillen. Now Morgan Shepherd has moved around Brad Teague in car number 75, so that opens it up. Let's see what he can do now with Tommy Ellis and Michael Waltrip. Waltrip has moved away from Tommy Ellis.
But there are less than 7 laps to go as they come down this time. It will complete lap number 194. And if Morgan Shepherd is going to make a move, he'll have to do it right now because the laps are dwindling away. And he still has Tommy Ellis between himself and the leader.
Yeah, I think he might be able to take Tommy Ellis, but I don't believe he'll be able to catch Michael Waltrip.
So we'll watch for that situation as Morgan Shepherd now is moving in indeed on Tommy Ellis in the number 99 car. 5 more laps to go, 195 complete, and Michael Waltrip is on his way to his first Grand National victory.
Excuse me, Bob, if he does win, it would be the 18th different winner in this series this year. And that would be in 26 races, 18 different winners.
Morgan Shepherd still not able to take away second position from Tommy Ellis as there are now 4 more laps to go in this one.
Tommy Ellis has run a very good, smart race. I think that he has got beat here at the end by the new tires that Michael Waltrip had on the left side. He was just able to drive around him on the inside and move away.
Yeah, you got to wonder how Tommy would be performing had he made the stop and gotten tires also.
Well, of course, he was in the top 5 when the caution came out, but he would have had to beat Michael Waltrip back out of the pits, I think. So I think it was a smart move on his part to stay out there because I think he's going to get a better position out of it maybe than he would have if he had made a pit stop.
4th and 5th position battle is between Ronald Cooper in car number 56 and the 81 car of Bobby Hillin Jr. 4th and 5th right here as there are now less than 3 laps to go.
Hillin trying to move on the inside, and Ronald Cooper has to be riding sort of on pins and needles after he scraped the wall there a little bit earlier. He has to wonder if he has any sheet metal rubbing on that right rear tire.
Well, it's going to be a great celebration in victory lane in 2 laps now if Michael Waltrip can hang on to the lead. And there you can see that he has a rather comfortable advantage on Tommy Ellis and on Morgan Shepherd. He comes off of corner number 4, and the white flag is being given. Michael Waltrip from Owensboro, Kentucky, is looking for his first Grand National win here, and he has less than a lap to go. He passes some slower traffic, passing the number 58 car driven by Joe Cudmore down the backstretch on the white flag lap. Michael Waltrip in the car owned by his brother, the Superflow Chevrolet. Here he is coming off of corner number 4. The checkered flag is waiting, and Michael Waltrip wins the Grand National 200.
And look at this battle. Jimmy Spencer moves around Harry Gant as they come across the start-finish line. There was a real battle going on there with Ron Cooper and Harry Gant and Jimmy Spencer.
So a great win for Michael Waltrip, and that ought to solidify his right at Charlotte, I would guess.
I would guess so, because you couldn't do any better than he did here today. I watched him in practice this morning, Bob, and I knew that that car was very strong. And he's a very capable driver. He has really matured. I would say that he's the most improved driver on the NASCAR Winston Cup circuit this year.
You know, he's one of those guys that was just breaking into racing when ESPN came on the air in 1979 and 80 and 81. And we have essentially followed his career throughout these last few years. And indeed, he has very, very, very much matured. Morgan Shepherd finishes in 3rd position. But there is quite a bit of anger on Morgan Shepherd's part. There he was behind Brad Teague, and he was raising his fist and shaking his hand at Brad, saying, "Get over and let me take a run at the leaders."
He really was. He was hoping Brad was looking in his rearview mirror and getting those signals.
Michael Waltrip now begins to unbuckle the helmet, and when we come back to victory lane, we will have an interview with the winner of this Grand National race this afternoon here at Dover Downs International Speedway. Michael finishers this afternoon in the Grand National 200. Michael Waltrip, the winner. Tommy Ellis 2nd. Morgan Shepherd 3rd. Bobby Hillin Jr. finishes 4th, and Ronald Cooper 5th. 6 through 10, Jimmy Spencer, Harry Gant, L.D. Ottinger, Davey Allison, and Jack Ingram. Our Winner's Circle interview is being brought to you by Goodyear Eagle Tires. Goodyear, because there really is a difference. Here's Jerry Punch.
Well, jubilation in victory lane. Eddie Jones, a crew chief, and a pair of Waltrip. So we can't call him your little brother. He's actually your younger brother. Let's talk to him first. Mike, congratulations on a super run.
Well, I'll tell you what, it was a lot of fun. We had a good time today running this car. it handled perfectly all day long. You know, I really got to go back and thank Mike Beam and my crew because they put a good car under me from the beginning. It's taught me a lot about driving a race car, and for Big Brother here to give me the opportunity to drive his car, it's just a dream come true. And to win this quick, you know, I hope maybe I can get back in. I don't know if I can stand driving it anymore or not. I'm a nervous wreck up here trying to please him, so.
You talk about being able to stand it. He was white when he came into victory lane. He was so pale. Can you stand this?
Only thing I'm worried about is he's going to want me to start paying him. That's what I'm worried about.
Now, you might have earned this car for Charlotte. You might have earned another ride with Big Brother's race car.
I hope so. Eddie and them are building a new one, so if I get that done, maybe I can drive this. And I didn't get paid much when I run Darlington. If I had finished any worse than third, I was going to have to pay him, so I was really inspired. So.
How do you like being a car owner?
This is a lot of fun, but I swear, I've never been. I couldn't hardly stand. My knees were shaking so bad. I thought I was going to have to sit down on the truck, but if I sat down, I couldn't see, so I had to keep standing up and let my knees shake. So I just knew if anything happened to this car or this boy right here, my daddy would kick my butt. So I was really worried.
They kept pouring water on Darrell Waltrip's sneakers on top of the truck because he was overheating and walking around in so many circles waiting for what Michael might do. Michael Waltrip, the 18th different winner in Busch competition this year. Let's go to Larry Nuber with the fellow who was a runner-up here today at Dover.
Jerry, runner-ups are always happy, but they're never jubilant. This is one of the more happy runner-ups I've seen in quite some time. Tommy Ellis, you kind of snuck that one in. I just told you a couple minutes ago about lap 150. You guys didn't look all that strong.
Well, you know, I think that's just because you were probably focusing on the cars who were up front. Body watches, we were strong all day. We kept coming, and we're being a little cautious because we're running for points. The crew kept doing a great job. They worked on the car, adjusted the chassis a couple times on those pit stops, and you know, we talked about changing tires, and I wanted to, and some of the crew didn't. We elected to stay with what we had and hoping that maybe Waltrip might have got a set of tires that pushed a little bit or what have you. You know, today he did the right thing, and it worked out for him, and he won a race. You know, we can congratulate him. At J&J Buick, it just ran fine. We got to thank Buick, Goodyear, and all the guys that work on the car. They did an excellent job, and, you know, we got to thank the good Lord for letting us have a good finish here and gain a few points.
Well, it wasn't a win, but as close as you can get, and Tommy's having a great year. A man who finished third, who had somewhat of an emotional time during the last 10 laps, was Morgan Shepherd. You wanted to move over flag, yes?
Yeah, they wasn't giving a move over flag, you know, for Bragg Tig, and I couldn't believe it. He was running up there and away, you know, coming down to the last 10 laps of the race, you know.
Morgan, we also know that about 20, 30 laps from the end, you felt that you had Michael Waltrip covered. That last yellow flag made a difference, didn't it?
Well, it did, you know, because I had run him down. The car was running real good, and we made a mistake by pitting the car. We should have stayed out like Tommy did, and I think we'd had a better shot at winning the race. But Winter Circle Buick run real good anyway.
You know, you in this division, you always do well. You like running sportsmen, don't you?
Well, you know, this is where I started, and I'm going to continue to run here as long as I race. You know, this is where I've learned everything I've learned in racing. And but you know, we had a hard time getting in the field. We qualified 29th and just couldn't seem to get anything going right. But the car ran good. It worked its way up to the front.
Well, Morgan Shepherd always strong in these cars and always strong at this racetrack, but not as strong as Michael Waltrip, at least today.
Well, there you have comments from the top three finishers: Michael Waltrip, Tommy Ellis, and Morgan Shepherd.
Very good race here today, Bob, and as always is the case when you mix the Winston Cup and the Busch Grand National drivers together.
All right, well, tonight here on ESPN, some great college football action coming up at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. The Ohio State Buckeyes and the Pittsburgh Panthers will tangle on CFA football at 7 o'clock tonight here on ESPN. We hope you'll be with us tomorrow at 12:30 Eastern Time for our live flag-to-flag coverage of the Winston Cup Delaware 500 right here at Dover Downs International Speedway as Dick Berggren, Larry Nuber, Jerry Punch, Ned Jarrett, Gary Nelson, and I will be here for all of the action. We thank you for joining us this afternoon. Once again, the winner of our Grand National 200 is Michael Waltrip. And for Ned Jarrett, Jerry Punch, and Larry Nuber, this is Bob Jenkins. We'll see you tomorrow. Till then, so long, everyone.